Thanks for coming along this evening to discuss whether targeted advertising is the future of TV. Let's just start by talking about who are currently the big players in TV content and what's been changing in the TV and advertising industry.
ITV, Channel 4, Channel 5, Sky, they're still the biggest providers of content. I did read this morning that Amazon Prime is in 50% of households in the US. Sounds like that could be a threat at some point to the UK.
The stats on sort of the main SVOD providers, so Netflix, Amazon, Now TV, I think collectively, in terms of number of subscribers, are about the same size as Sky Now, which is quite surprising. There is a fundamental, significant shift going on in user behaviour.
Where you will see the most change is where you give customers choice. So where you can make content available to customers how they want, where they want, on whatever device they want. The breadth of advertisers on the platform is, and on TV has never been greater. And with 2/3 of the advertisers being either new to TV or new to Sky, we're really growing. And that stat, to be fair, is holding true and in fact growing year on year on year.
How do you get the momentum for targeted advertising when there are so many different platforms, technologies and approaches?
People like Jonathan at Channel 4 want to be able to target across all Channel 4 content, across every platform, and people like Jamie have got attributes and targets that they can sell you for that platform. And advertisers like Chris just want to go to one place and say, I want to buy targeting, across all of these platforms.
As you get more new brands onto television, the potential is that those advertising breaks become less engaging, the quality is lower. I'd quite argue that TV advertising is perhaps not as creatively interesting as it was 15, 20 years ago.
More relevant ads mean more engaged audiences. And when you think about broadening that funnel of advertisers, the brands that we've had on include Net-a-Porter, Burberry, McLaren, Porsche, at one end of the spectrum, down to your local car dealership, your local financial advisor or whatever it may be. But that stat is consistent across the piece. We need to think about the context of the numbers that we're talking about. So whether you look over in the UK over the last 15 or so years, average minutes viewed to TV has reduced marginally by something like 3.5 minutes. 3.5 minutes a day has been the decline. In the US, actually, it's even less. It was only 1 minute decline over the last 10 years.
The TV consumption isn't declining; it's just changing and fragmenting, right? And so, yes, okay, linear viewing, as if you look at BARB numbers month on month, yes, in certain demographics, those are down, but actually that's being compensated back by on-demand viewing. The problem is that on-demand viewing isn't accurately measured, or not even measured at all in some instances, right? So we've got to fix that.
Different levels of quality of content. You've got user-generated content, social media content versus broadcast quality. Do you think this has a negative impact on the TV ad industry, and will consumers turn off rather than engage?
The challenge we have, I think, from a broadcast perspective, is just ensuring that advertisers recognise the difference between what you're buying when you're buying an impression or an ad on All 4 or Sky Go, for example, versus what you're buying on YouTube and Facebook. And I think that is not a nuance, that is a big, big difference.
If YouTube was a British video platform, the issues that they faced recently with inappropriate content, I'm no legal expert, but I think the government or Ofcom would have shut them down immediately. And yet, because they are a global company, they seem to operate above the laws of each individual country that they operate in. They need to be policed in those individual countries, and I'm not sure what the solution is, because I don't think you can police global media players.
Okay, so this is where we're at now. What do you think is the next step? Where will we be in 5 to 10 years' time?
The future of TV has never been brighter. It is probably the most exciting period we've been in, and the acceleration of change is only getting greater and faster.
With data and data science, I think we have the capabilities of actually turning addressable advertising into something that is individual and is actually quite sophisticated.
People will always still want great content, and they'll still believe in great content. And just the way that we access it is going to change.
I think they'll still want those communal moments. So whoever pitched Gogglebox to Channel 4 must have initially thought, this is never going to work, they're never going to buy it. You know, the programme is genius and is the greatest marketing tool for television ever invented, in my opinion.
One of the attractions for me of watching all four, other platforms are available, is that you see less adverts on there than you do when you're watching broadcast TV. When will that change?
It's a very good question. It's something that we wrestle with all the time. But conversely, we do get challenged all the time about both internally and externally, about the relative ad load, because ultimately people don't like watching advertising. Unless it's targeted and they love it. But it's the trade-off, isn't it? It's the trade-off for being able to access great, fantastic content.
I think that we're out of time now, pretty much. So thank you to our great panellists that we've got. We've got Rich, Simon, Chris, Jonathan and Jamie.